What are the elements of risk? People sometimes use the word in different ways. Risk certainly has as one part of it threat, but risk is not composed entirely of threat. Threat is really what we define as someone's intent to do harm and their capability to do harm. For example, many people have bad intent, but they have zero capability. That is not a threat that's worth a lot of attention. A lot of people have tremendous capability, but they don't have any bad intent. Again, we don't worry about that. But it's the combination of intent and capability that creates threat. However, risk is not solely defined by threat. First of all, we have to ask ourselves, what would be the consequences if the threat came to pass? If someone has the intent and the capability, for example, to damage the woodwork in this club, that would be a bad thing, but it would not be a national tragedy. I may offend some people here. So the consequence would be, comparatively speaking, a lesser consequence. Someone might, for example, have a desire to deface a marble statue, but if they don't have, if the statue is not vulnerable to being defaced, even though it might be a very bad consequence, even though there might be a threat, vulnerability would reduce the risk. So when we analyze risk, we look at the consequence, we look at the vulnerability, and we look at the threat. And we regard these things as part of a matrix. And it is the sum or the formula that sums up these various elements that yields your risk form. Once you identify risk, of course, what you rapidly see is you have to start to balance risks. And that means you have to start to make determinations about how much you're going to spend to avoid a risk. When you have a fixed amount of money to spend, and all money is fixed at some level, all capacity is fixed at some level, you have to start making trade-offs. And that means you engage in cost-benefit analysis. Once you weigh the risks, you ask yourself how much cost you're willing to bear in order to avoid the risk. And that, I think, in a nutshell, although not a revelation probably to many people here, that in a nutshell is the challenge we face at the Department of Homeland Security every day in making decisions. In the 20th century, we worried about bombs coming in airplanes and missiles. And what we used to detect them were radar. Radar was, I think, invented in the Second World War. And we would never have thought during the Cold War of standing down our radar to take a chance about enemy bombs coming into this country. In dealing with terrorists, the bombs will not come in airplanes, at least not in clearly marked airplanes, or in missiles. They will come secretly in the hands of terrorists who either bring them in or make them in this country. And the 21st century radar against that is intelligence. Intelligence tells us when we have to be where and allows us to lower our vulnerabilities and protect ourselves against an attack, either by preventing it or by taking steps to mitigate the impact. How do we gather intelligence? We do it by, first of all, either intercepting communications or by questioning people, by gathering information from people we capture, or by putting, bugs into people where people meet, things of that sort. So we get real information about what the threat is. It brings a cost benefit. The cost of intelligence gathering is often seen as an effect on civil liberties. That is a serious trade-off. And I think at the margin, you have to ask some very hard questions about what liberties are you prepared to trade to get a significant marginal gain in intelligence value. It's often hard to quantify these things. They're very subjective.